If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.
Welcome to Learn JMeter series. In this season 5 episode 1, we are going to see about execution order and scoping rules in JMeter. When time flies by, you keep on adding different types of elements to your test plan. There are timers, samplers, pre and post processors, assertions, config elements, and listeners. So how JMeter decides which element to execute? Definitely it is not going to execute as they appear. Of course, there are certain elements it executes as the order they appear in your test plan. But first it will check for the config elements. So this is the very high priority element to execute. If there is a config element present, then JMeter will execute those elements. Then it will go for preprocessors, then timers, then sampler, then post processors, then assertions and listeners. If you see the timers, assertions, pre and post processors, they processed only if there is a sampler. On contrary, for the logic controllers and samplers, they execute in order they appear. So there might be different n number of logic controllers and samplers in your test plan. So JMeter decides the order in which they appear, then it will execute that. And other type of elements executes as per the scope. So to remember this execution order, I have created a simple mnemonic. I know it's very silly, but it will be very helpful for your interview purpose. If you remember the conf points pal, you'll be able to figure out the execution order. So conf stands for config elements, points, the first P stands for preprocessors, then TS stands for timers and samplers respectively, and PAL stands for post processors, assertions and listeners. Let us see a quick example. In the screenshot, you could see there is a thread group. We have the header manager, constant timer, dummy sampler 1, and there is a post processor. And then we have the dummy sampler 2 and preprocessor. At last, we have the view results tree. So whenever JMeter executes this kind of test plan, first it will execute the header manager because it is a type of the config element. And then it will execute constant timer, then dummy sampler 1, post processor and view results tree. But when it comes to dummy sampler 2, first it will execute header manager, then it will execute preprocessor, then it will execute the timer because preprocessor has the higher priority. Then dummy sampler 2, then the view results tree. So this is the execution order JMeter follows for this kind of test plan. Next, we are going to see about the scoping rules. So in JMeter, there are two different types of scoping rules: hierarchical and ordered. Listeners, config elements, pre and post processors, assertions and timers falls under hierarchical, and controllers and samplers falls under ordered. So on the right side, you could see there is a screenshot with the sample test plan. We have the constant timer, header manager, and dummy sampler 1 and assertion. So this assertion is associated to the dummy sampler 1. So it will not associate to dummy sampler 2 or 3 or 4. And if you see the user parameters, so that config element, the preprocessor, it associated to the dummy sampler 4. But constant timer, header manager and view results tree, it is associated at the thread group level. So it is shared across the dummy sampler 1, 2, 3 and 4. So to demonstrate, to understand better, let us execute in a JMeter. Then you'll be able to figure it out how the scoping rules and the execution order works. So this is my simple JMeter test plan. First, let us see the execution order demo. So here in this particular thread group, I have the constant timer of 3 seconds, and the dummy sampler 1 will have the response time of 2 seconds. And similarly, dummy sampler 2 also will have the 2 seconds response time. So whenever we execute this test plan, first it will execute the header manager because it's a config element, then the timer of 3 seconds plus the response time of dummy sampler 1, then the timer, then the dummy sampler 2. So totally, if you see, the total duration will be 10 seconds because the constant timer is 3 seconds plus the response time will be 2 seconds. then the timer will be 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Then the dummy sampler will be 2 seconds. So 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 will be 10 seconds. So that is the total duration. You are seeing it here. So this is how the execution order will execute in JMeter. Now let me disable this and let me enable the another thread group which have the multiple elements such as the assertions and post processors, and we have the constant timer. So this constant timer and header manager at the associated at the thread group level, and assertion is associated to the dummy sampler 1, and dummy sampler 2 has the user parameters. So if you see the user parameters my value, I have added it in the dummy sampler 1. It will not work because this user parameter is associated to dummy sampler 4. So it will execute only in the dummy sampler 4, not in dummy sampler 1. And similarly, this constant timer and header manager has been shared across dummy sampler 1, 2, 3 and 4 because it is associated at the thread group level. Similarly, the view results tree. So view results tree also associated to the thread group level. So now if you execute this test plan, first it will execute the order as per the order, header manager, timer. Then if you see the response assertion, it is failing because the expected is 500 but it is passing. And if you see the dummy sampler 1, I have the request data of my var. But if you see the view results tree, it is not taking up, but it will work only in dummy sampler 4. So this is how the hierarchical and the ordered element works in JMeter. So make sure you have the association right to the right element. Otherwise, it will be shared across all the elements. Particularly if you want to focus on the timers, make sure you have added in the right element. Otherwise, you will not be able to get the expected throughput. So that's it guys from my side. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.
If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.